So I get a lot of queries regarding the use of a magic pass in gray listed countries. So I thought, it's important to discuss this topic in more detail. Who is this good for, and does this make sense for everyone? Before I jump into this, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jay, and here we discuss investments that lead to Plan B residencies and citizenships. So if you haven't subscribed, take a moment and subscribe to my channel so you're always up to date on the latest and greatest regarding any of the programs. So what is a magic pass? Magic pass is something that you obtain magically overnight. Typically, when you do naturalization and when you get a new citizenship, they check for your ties, they check for how long you have lived there, they check for any integration with the country, and once you establish some set of logical connection to the country, then you become a citizen. A magic pass is you have this money, right? You're wealthy, you have some money, and you do some magic, you give them the money, and all of a sudden you have a passport, you're a citizen, right? No connections, no language, never been there, a lot of people don't ever travel, but magically they are able to obtain a passport. Now, how does this help, right? So let's say you're coming from a country whose passport has literally zero valuable access. Maybe it has the numbers, maybe it has 50 countries, but none of those 50 you would ever go to. The countries that you want to go to all require you to get a visa. That's where some people do this magic, right? They shell some cash, they have spare cash, and they change the passport, they get a new citizenship, new nationality by donation in a lot of cases, and now the access is bumped up from, let's say, 50 to 150 or something, and then you have a very strong passport with some unique features. The other reason why some people think this is a magic solution is because they claim that this is so beautiful, unseen, unheard of, no one really knows much about what this is, fancy document. The border guards are pretty excited to see something like this. The moment they get one of these, they've never heard about it, so they're curious. They ask you, is this a real country? And they look at the pages, they're very fascinated. It's a beautiful passport, something that they haven't seen before. And then they roll the red carpet. They know you're wealthy, they know you purchased this, and off you go in your country. Not really a big deal of hassle. It's pretty convenient, pretty quick. Everyone is very nice, especially the border guards. Now, these are some of the claims that I hear. I personally don't sort of agree with any of these claims. Again, it all depends upon each individual person. Sometimes you may have a good experience, sometimes you get asked more questions, and it all depends upon several factors beyond the topic of our discussion here. The point is, when you're using such a document for access to gray listed countries, does this make any difference? Well, when you're opening bank accounts, dealing with financial stuff, right, setting up residencies, businesses, bank accounts, and all of the other stuff that you normally do, if you're entering a gray listed country and you're transacting from a non-gray listed country, then under certain circumstances there might be additional questions. The banks might ask you for more questions. Not always, and I'm not a tax expert, so when I'm discussing any of this information, this is not immigration, legal, tax, or financial advice. This is educational content and my personal opinion. You should always consult with the right tax professionals to get right answers to some of the tax related questions. But generally speaking, when you're going to an FATF gray listed country, the banks might ask you for additional questions, and as long as you're not doing anything wrong, as long as everything is legal, you should be fine, you should be good to go. I've recently made a related video on this topic where I'm discussing the audits, IRS, CRA, ATO audits. If you haven't checked that video, make sure to return and check this link. And then there is the other set of people who this makes even lesser difference is, let's say you are from a country which has access to 50 countries, right? And it is one of the weakest passports. It's also on the FATF gray list, right? So when you purchase, let's say, a magic pass and you obtain one of these documents and you bump up your access, right? The magic pass gives you 150 countries. Let's take an example. And it ranges, right? You pay 100K, you get some access. You pay 150K, you get more access. You get a more premium, you get a higher access passport. And then you go to a gray listed country. So you're coming from a gray listed country, you're buying one of these magic passes, you're going to a gray listed country. So in that case, it's pretty straightforward. I don't see any issues. But when you're coming from a Western country, if you're transacting from a Western country, there might be some additional questions based on your situation. Now, do I believe in magic passports? Well, they are are legal, right? So obviously in certain circumstances, based on what you're trying to do, there might be a useful solution. Let's say you are looking for access, right? The other countries that you come in, these countries sell you the passport. It's pretty straightforward, it's pretty logical. So in those cases, yes, absolutely, you are good to go, right? You can use them. It's a very good, useful solution for a lot of people under certain circumstances. If you're planning to do something wrong, then obviously not, because it makes it way too obvious what you're up to. So in those cases, I personally would not think of anything like that. Now, regarding a full-blown solution, right? How does the magic passport differ from full-blown solutions? Now, a lot of Western governments are cracking down. There's been an E2 crackdown that has been discussed in the US House. If you have missed that video, you can return and check this video. This talks about the E2 development. And the Western governments might crack down on access. Let's say, take an example of Vanuatu that lost its Schengen access. Similarly, if they may take away the E2, they might make different changes. Let's say if you're a CBI citizen, you cannot travel, if you don't have the access. Let's say you're a natural born citizen, you can keep the access. So those type of changes are always a risk associated with some of these magic options. What are some of the solid options, in my opinion? I feel and again, doesn't mean that these CBI options aren't solid. They're solid for certain reasons, in certain cases, absolutely. But then there are other natural options, which is, let's take an example of the Latin or the Atlantic setup. Now, in the Atlantic setup, you have a lot of smaller countries. A lot of these countries have options where you have flexible residencies. You obtain a temporary residency. It's flexible. You do you spend the right amount of time. You follow the rules. You establish some connection, and then you eventually obtain a passport. Now, this passport is very different from the Magic Pass, right? This passport is not a CBI passport, so the tagging is not a CBI tagging. So tomorrow, if they chop off some CBI access, that's very different from these passports. These are natural citizenships that you have acquired through a very natural means, and natural meaning residency means. And that's my own opinion and assessment on this. Now, if you are new to my channel, my name is Jay, and here we discuss investments that lead to residencies and Plan B citizenships. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure to go ahead and subscribe for the latest and greatest regarding any of the programs. And if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, and catch you in the next one.